Hey guys, and welcome back to Smells Like Teen Angst. I am Sarah, and today we are diving into Pretty Little Liars Original Sin, episode 6. Let's do it. And as always, I am here with Jordan and Keiki. Say hello, ladies.
Hello, ladies and ladies and gentlemen, whoever is watching this, cats, dogs, all kinds of people who enjoy Pretty Little Liars. We are here for you.
For you. Kiki's like, yes. I can't hear you. You're muted.
Still muted.
I said, hi, little liars. How are we doing today?
Little liars. I just want to say first before we get started, thank you everyone who's watching and everyone who's commenting, because everyone's got theories, everyone's got thoughts, and they're amazing. And we're trying to keep up with you in the comments and reply to everybody. But you guys are feeling it and you're very strong and I love it. So we're going to keep rolling kind of how we did last week. We're going to talk about episodes 6 and 7, but we're going to do separate videos. So this will be all about 6. The next one will be all about 7. So don't worry about spoiling anything because they're, HBO's dropping things twice or like 2 episodes at a time. So yeah. And we're going to talk about like individual people as we go because it's better for my brain. But before we do that, this episode picked up right where the last one left off, which I appreciated. Thank you, Keiki.
My bad.
I did appreciate it, but I will say I lost track of where we were, so I started episode 7, watched 2 minutes of it, was like, this makes no sense! And I had to text you guys and be like, what are we talking about this week? I'm confused.
That's amazing. Well, episode 6 picks up with Imogen and Tabitha sitting on the bed, and Tabitha actually like sharing her story about what happened at the party and like kind of what she remembers about. She was drinking and she's went off to the woods and felt weird and was pretty sure she got drunk and like not drunk but passed out and was assaulted, but she has no idea who it was. And then Imogen like wasn't going to talk about it, and then she does later, so I'm not going to like talk about it later. We can talk about it now. Because I was like, Imogen, how dare you not share your story when Tabitha was so vulnerable just now?
I got it, but it didn't make me skeptical for a second, of Imogen, because I'm just like still trying to point fingers, So I'm like, girl, if you don't share your story, now there's a freaking finger at your back, because I'm like, excuse me, I need to know. And after she shared it and I realized that their stories are incredibly similar, if not the same, I'm like, okay, what if it was the same attacker? What if it's somehow interconnected?
I think I forgot I was watching a television show that's a mystery, and I was more caught up in my own personal empathy. And as someone who has survived several different types of things, I was more at, it's up to that person when they disclose and how they disclose. So it didn't bother me that Imogen didn't disclose at that moment, because your comfort level is your comfort level, and that's all up to you. And you don't necessarily get to choose that. It chooses for you when you can share with people. And the other part about that is being someone who has been a comfort to other people is that you don't always want to take their moment, right? Like Tabitha was sharing her story, and sometimes you just want someone to listen to you. And if Imogen had been like, well, this is what happened to me, it may not have been a moment for Tabitha to feel safe. So it didn't rankle me either this way or that way. And I do want to say that I think that they're handling the subject of assault very responsibly and very respectfully in this show. And I absolutely appreciate that.
I love it. I love it. And as you said, having gone through things, it's a difficult subject matter in general, and them banding together and taking like comfort and solace in each other and sharing with each other is more important to me than pinpointing and picking and choosing who A is. I don't care who her baby daddy is. I care more about the fact that these girls are both victims of assault and trauma, and I just feel for them.
Yeah, I think the show's handling trauma very responsibly. And I also will say, if we go back to our first video about episodes 1 through 3, I was like, is this going to be a plot point that's important, or is she pregnant for no reason? And we are now finding out that it is something that is important. And I appreciate that. I think it's very responsible, because there was a moment where I was like, if she's just pregnant and we don't talk about the hows and the whys of this, it kind of feels like an irresponsible plot point.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Unless the actress is pregnant in real life and they just had to keep her. Like,
she's not, guys. She's not.
I know she's not.
Yeah. They could just be hiding her behind things. Listen, and I hate referencing this, but in the Cosby Show, they was hiding Felicia Rashad behind all kinds of things for no reason.
How I Met Your Mother, every time they're like, here's some jackets and a pillow. Enjoy.
Grey's Anatomy. Some of them doctors just be up behind a surgery table all season long.
Yeah, and I recently watched like an Alyssa Milano movie with my mom on Netflix, and she called it out. She was like, is she pregnant? She keeps covering her stomach and this and that. And I was like, it didn't even faze me, because I'm just like watching the movie. And then I started to pick up on it, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. And I was like, I don't know. Did she have a baby? And I Googled it, and I was like, oh yeah, she did. She filmed this whole movie pregnant.
A coat in this scene. Don't nobody else have coats on?
It's 700 degrees in New York. So Imogen does eventually share, and at least what I wanted to know is if it happened at the same night. Like, did they both go to the same bonfire? And what that clears up is it was 2 different nights, 2 separate incidences. And then I just have to say that if it's Chip, I'm gonna be upset, because I love him. It's always the one you don't expect. It's not going to be the Tylers. It's not going to be the Greg. I'm just saying.
You're like, it's going to be the nice boy at the movie theater.
It's going to be the nice boy at the movie theater. Watch. Just remember I said this.
The one who's out with important people.
I would say during episode 6, that thought never occurred to me. During episode 7, my feelings about Chip might have changed, but we're going to get to that when we talk about episode 7. Today, we talk about episode 6.
Yeah, but I had that thought when we watched it. I turned to Keiki and I was like, if it's Chip, I'm going to be mad. I said it during episode 6. So, I'm putting that out there that I was upset. I do appreciate that this episode, I felt like we actually were able to dive more into each girl, because they paired up Imogen and Tabitha. And so that freed up so much time. They didn't all go on this road trip together. It was literally just Imogen and Tabitha going to talk to the man who has the information about A. Waters and like her, like, and what we learned. And I really liked that. I was like, thank you. So we could actually get into other people.
Tabitha and Imogen visit Crazy Joe to hear about Angela Waters. And I wrote something that says derelict cars. I don't know what that note means. Whatever.
The train cars.
The train cars. Okay, yeah. So Crazy Joe, they find out that he lives in a whole bunch of like derelict train cars, and the city pays him to like tow cars away or something.
Just to make sure no one like destroys them or sets them on fire. It's because they're historic.
But anyway, he was in high school with all of them. He was in love with Angela. They were fellow misfits and nerds together, blah, blah, blah. We find out that the moms adopted Angela. And basically, like we said, the moms were the plastics.
Yep. So
the moms were the plastics. They adopted this new girl, Angela, into their little plastic crew. Things go crazy. Angela dies. Her mom comes to school with a knife and tries to kill people. And then her mom...
A table of boys.
It was a full on, and I kind of loved that because it reminded me of Friday the 13th.
Yes.
Right? The mom goes crazy and tries to kill people.
I understand that she was eventually, like, when they talked about the mom going to sanitarium, and we'll get to that and everything, she was eventually convicted of like, or convicted. She was eventually like, I quit. But I think
convicted of being
crazy.
I know, convicted of being crazy. But I don't think it's crazy for somebody's mama to run up into a school with a butcher knife after their kid gets raped and then kills himself. Like,
I'm gonna kill everybody in that town. I think that is justified.
That was justified. I don't think she was crazy for that. She'd
Right.
not go to the sanitarium for that. But okay, cool.
Right.
Eventually, she
So
was
anyway,
with schizophrenia.
Tabitha and Imogen go on this road trip to Rosewood, which is like a callback to another Pretty Little Liars, right?
Yeah.
Pretty Little Liars.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So they go on this road trip. They say that the train guy is a person of interest, but maybe he's not a. And this is what I really wanted to get into. I loved on the road trip that they were listening to Alanis Morissette.
Me too. I have that written down. I was like, thank you for giving me this like sing-along moment. Because who isn't driving on a road trip singing at the top of their lungs?
If you say you're not, you're lying. The three of us have taken so many road trips. I'm pretty sure Alanis Morissette has happened on all of them.
100%.
Yes, even if you're driving to do something like serious or potentially mentally turmoil-ish, that doesn't stop with a car party, because when you're driving, you're just trying to like relax before the madness. And like, that's just them just getting out of the city and being teenagers. And I like seeing it.
Me too. And I love that they're like, we got to go to this asylum in Rosewood, but the asylum is now like this really nice, fancy hotel.
Which is exactly what happened in Pretty Little Liars. So when they flash when they flash forward in Pretty Little Liars, Radley Sanitarium, which is where she was staying in Rosewood, became Radley Hotel when they came back. And that was like where the girls would hang out. And I think Aria was living there for a while, because all the girls weren't supposed to like still live in Rosewood. They were coming back.
Gotcha.
And then ended up getting tied up in a drama. So a couple of girls like not only lived there, but like hung out there,
That's
cool. Okay. Meeting spot that season.
That's cool.
I didn't know that, but my thought is also like, who turns a sanitarium into a hotel?
I mean,
I don't think those things go together.
Look, I will live in a murder house and I will go to a sanitarium hotel. It's gonna happen.
If you told me the Biltmore in downtown was a sanitarium, an asylum, and now it's a hotel, I'd believe you, and I'd still go, because it's.
As someone who has stayed overnight at the Ace Hotel, I don't have a whole lot of room to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely, it's haunted in ways. You can feel it. The energy's off there. But also.
Oh, I didn't know.
Really stunning in deco.
I didn't know that the Ace Hotel was the Ace Hotel until after I got home and told my mom where I had stayed. And she was like, "Are you out of your mind?" And I was like, "Well, it was a little creepy, but I didn't know it was a murder place."
You're like, I don't know. Well, this is a very fancy asylum hotel. And I love that they let the girls be girls. This is the fanciest place they've ever stayed. They're so excited about the bathrobes, and they're like, oh my gosh, this bed. I just thought it was so cute that they wrote them that this was such a special moment for them. Yeah. And I love that. And I love that
it like for it with the Halloween party money.
Yes, to go on this adventure and wait for Eddie Lamb, the guy who worked at the asylum and now is working in maintenance at the hotel. And then Tabitha and Imogen split up. Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, go, because it's what you're saying.
Oh yeah, Tabitha and Imogen split up. Imogen's like, oh my God, I haven't been this comfortable in 7 months. Now we know she's like, she's like, I'm very pregnant. Please leave me alone. And Tabitha goes out on her own to kind of explore, and she meets this really cute boy from like a rival high school, and then she starts having flashes.
Pretty Little Liars high school.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes to a place, and I don't know if this was a very specific Easter egg or like a little tiny one, but she goes to a place called Ezra's Books.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it is his bookstore.
Okay. So they had to bring the creepy man back into it. All right, whatever.
I mean, but we didn't give her a creepy encounter there, which it could have happened. Instead, we got this like picture into how hiding her trauma it's something that she still, needs to work through.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like this happened to these girls and they're automatically over it, because I hate when TV shows kind of portray it like that. Like, oh, it happened and it's in the past. It's like, oh no, honey, you carry that with you for life, okay? You can work through it, but it doesn't change the fact that you are a victim.
No. not at all. And so she's having these flashes of like with this boy, he's like, "I want to get coffee." And then she imagines a great date. He's driving her home and then he's like trying to assault her. And then she wakes up and she's like, "No, I'm just going to read my book and go back to my hotel. Have a good night." You know, but and it's just gonna continue forward. And I'm curious how they're gonna finish playing this out. If they're gonna get justice, or if we're gonna be told to wait until like if they get another season to kind of finish out the storyline, which I hope they don't do.
I think that they will get justice just because it's been so responsible so far, and they really have. One thing that we were saying through episodes 1 through 3, that we're getting all these little dangling threads and we don't know where they're going. And it feels like the further that we're getting into the season, they're being very good about picking up those threads and really trying to tie them back in and like create a really good story. So I don't think that we're going to have unanswered questions.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But I'm hopeful. I'm optimistic, but you never know. Imogen, while back at the hotel, is very good at what she does, and she gets the number of the guy and sets up a breakfast meeting with Mr. Lamb. And so they meet up with him, and he brings the visitor's log from the asylum so they can see that A. Waters has been signing in. It's it's multiple signatures. We learned that it's 6 different ones, and then he drops the bomb about how she was raped and then killed herself, which Keiki mentioned earlier. And that was just like, oh, even more pieces. So not only are the moms like visiting the girl moms of the girls are signing in as A. Waters and visiting Angela's mom, probably out of guilt. But then like you learn like these girls probably knew. And then unfortunately having 2 of their own daughters assaulted, it's like this weird like full circle of trauma that's come back into this tiny, tiny town.
My horrific assumption, because we learned that, the girls have been hazing Angela through this whole thing. Mm-hmm. And we find out, through this episode, another hazing ritual that they put her through. And then the episode after this, there's another hazing ritual, spoiler alert. My horrific assumption is that they put her through some sort of hazing ritual that set her up for an assault. Not necessarily that they knew that she was going to get assaulted, but they put her into a bad position.
I can absolutely see that.
That's almost why I think that this is happening, because we're learning slowly, piece by piece, that these girls had a hand, whether they want to choose to or not, and what happened. Also, shout out to Eddie Lamb, because he did work on Pretty Little Liars too, like holding it down with all the knowledge.
He did?
Well, yeah, he was like the one who said that what was her name? Died. They were looking for someone, and I think he was like talking to Spencer about, yeah, she got killed here. It was Toby's mom, right?
I didn't watch the original Pretty Little Liars, so I don't know.
Oh, you guys are
the only one who did.
Okay, I think it was like Toby's.
Don't worry, people in the comments will let you know.
Exactly, and like I think the comments all also mentioned like Jenna, that this could be like a Jenna case, and I was like, Jenna's kind of shady. Jenna wasn't blind and pretended to be blind. Like she's done. Let's not.
Oh my God.
Let's not compare Kelly to Jenna, or Karen and Kelly to Jenna.
Like
not the same.
Yeah. So he tells us that basically when the asylum was closed and was being turned to this hotel, that they sent people to the Sisters of Quiet Mercy in Riverdale, which, as we all know, Roberto, who is the showrunner of Riverdale, is the showrunner of this series. So I thought that was fun. I don't ever think there'll be a crossover. I just think it was a fun little nod. His other series, and that others were just like shipped out of town. So Rose is probably still alive, and she could possibly be one of the A's. I do not believe that this 70-year-old woman is running around picking up teenagers.
She could be big. She could be a big 70-year-old. You don't know.
He's the one sending the texts.
Like, exactly. What if Angela didn't die, or they kept her like on a vent so she could have her baby because she was pregnant? And then Rose raised the baby, and the baby is getting at everyone because of what? Justice for his mama. Like, you don't
listen. If Mrs. Voorhees could be going after them little camp counselors, Mrs. Voorhees was real spry, and she had to be pushing 40, 50, and she was going after 17-year-olds. I'm just saying that. Rose Waters, what else does she have to do in a sanitarium besides work out and get sanitarium buff? All I'm saying.
All I'm saying. And that's when we learned that there's a 6 signature. So now there's a mystery person who was visiting Rose, and we don't like, who's the mystery person? We don't know.
Train Joe. It was Train Joe.
It's Train Joe signing in because he was like her boyfriend. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cute.
My heart.
So like we got a lot of information that really progressed the story along just by putting Imogen and Tabitha together on this like adventure, and I loved that. Next, let's dive into where we're a little confused and the people in the comments don't understand why we're confused. I'm like, look, I'm not watching apparently as closely as you are, you guys. Let's talk about Mouse real quick. So she's supposed to go on.
Wait a minute, what?
Yeah. Everyone, like in the comments, like, look in the box. It's multiple people. It's not just that one guy. She's got more than one missing person.
It's still confusing.
I'm still confused.
Yeah, I'm still confused.
Still not very clear.
I figured it out by the end of episode 6 and 7, but also, hey guys, don't be mean to us. We're confused.
Look, I'm confuzzled. I love that Ash is like her little boyfriend, and they're going on this bowling date.
For weeks now, it's been bothering me. No, for weeks it's been bothering. I'm like, who does Ash remind me of? It's bothered me since episode 1. Couldn't figure it out. Finally put it together during episode 6. He looks like a young Paul Rubens.
I don't see that.
I get Samantha Johnson vibes from him.
I see the guy from like Superstore that was also Fred on Drop Dead Diva. I can see that. No.
If it's the Superstore boy and Pee Wee Herman had a baby, it would be this kid.
Okay.
We're gonna let y'all can argue with me in the comments. I see Paul Rubens.
Before we talk about Mouse going bowling with Ash, we need to talk about the fact that Mouse's little stalker daddy isn't giving up, his connection to her. He FaceTime or whatever.
Yeah, he called her.
And she was like, hey, this is over. I'm not Rachel. I'm glad I was able to give her back to you for a moment, but like, that's the end. And he's not taking that so well.
No.
Cut to
not taking no
Cosmic Bowling. So at Cosmic Bowling, we see Mouse and Ash enjoying their self. And of course, out of the corner of her eye, Mouse notices her stalker. She asks Ash to step away, goes up and approaches him. And instead of him apologizing or backing down, he then presents himself to Ash as Mouse's father, which not right, not okay. But with further information we learn, maybe he's not lying. Anyway.
No, like he's like, this is my dad. Like it's so creepy. He just stalks her to this bowling alley, and I'm like, you're playing with fire, Mouse. Like, what are you even doing anymore?
And I wish it was explained a little bit better why she got into this and doing this. How does one fall into doing something like that,
It just feels dangerous and irresponsible, and we don't have a full answer in episode 6 about why Mouse is behaving this way. And it's not in a victim blamey way, but just in a like, what the fuck is happening way.
What is happening? And that's like basically where her little story ends. And it's like, this is terrifying. She's gonna actually get kidnapped. She's gonna get murdered by this man, is how I'm feeling. But we shall see. Moving on to Faran, who actually has a really interesting storyline, finally. Other than that, the
Faran story gets deep this week.
Yeah, super deep. Like she is, asking the costumer to add more fabric to her corset, and like she like shows her something and we don't really know why. Like I know they mentioned the first few episodes about her scoliosis and she had surgery for it, but I like never, it left my brain. I was like, what is she asking for this? Like she's apologizing to Kelly. Her mom finally, her mom Corey gets her first package from A, which we were all wondering last week how they were going to bring her mom back into the fold, and this is it. And we get this flashback of her mom because she gets a tattoo gun, and
A
she's
bloody tattoo gun.
bloody tattoo gun because she is at a tattoo shop with Angela, and Angela gets an A tattooed on her, and then she dips. Like,
Right. Well, here's the thing. Farron's mom lies to Angela and says all the girls are getting their initials tattooed on them, blah, 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 blah. She gets this tattoo and first of all, I have to apologize for calling it a gun. It's a tattoo machine. All my friends who are tattooers are going to kill me about this. But also, fairly certain that I've gotten tattooed in the shop that they were in. I'm like 97% sure it's in Los Angeles, and I'm pretty sure I've gotten tattooed there multiple times, know the owner. Anyway, when Angela is done getting her tattoo, Farron's mom is just dipped. She's not there anymore. So again, another hazing ritual with Angela.
Mm-hmm.
That's like so far to have an who's putting tattoos on underage girls, first of all? Like,
who's paying for this? Tattoos are expensive.
And a tattoo that size is $120. Who paid for that? Like,
I was out the other night taking photos, and I said, "What's your good side?" And my friend goes, "This is my expensive side. Like, it's not good, but these were all the tattoos. I see expensive side. So take a picture of this one."
I like that. So we get a little bit of more white
side.
So now we finally get Corey back into Millwood, back into town, and Faran has her dance audition. And, you know, Kelly's out here trying to be a bitch. And because like the woman's like, "Oh, you're favoring one side. Are you injured?" And the girl's like, "Oh, she has scoliosis. She's got scoliosis." You know? And she's like, "Well, I'm even more impressed." So it like totally backfires, which I appreciated because
I loved that.
Dare you?
Also, and this could be me being too super wrong, but Farron's little love interest, Henry the dance boy, this is a deep cut reference. He reminds me of Bullethead from the Steve Harvey Show.
I've never seen it. I'm gonna have to look up a photo.
I don't remember him, but I did watch the Steve Harvey Show as a kid.
Right, back in the 90s, Steve Harvey used to have a sitcom that came on the WB and later the CW, and there was like one white teenage boy on the show called Bullethead, and that's who this boy reminds me of.
I just know he's from
Moving on.
Newsies, and he's from the new West Side Story movie.
Yeah.
That's what I know him from.
That's what I looked him up to see, like maybe he's Bullethead's son. He's just like a cute little boy, whatever.
I know, I love him and his little boy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're right. He does look like him. I totally see it.
Hold it up. Hold on. I'm going to put you full view, Keiki. Hold it up.
This is Bullethead from the Steve Harvey Show. Can we see?
Wow.
I totally see it, Jordan.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we have this really interesting scene we finally get like the relationship between Faran and her mom and why Faran has chosen to live with her father. Like it all makes sense. Like her mom is so turned off by her scar, her scoliosis scar. She's like, "I've made an appointment with a plastic surgeon." And she's like, "Okay, let's go talk to him." And
He's dead.
Wow, Keiki. Wow.
Oh, Bullethead did die tragically. You're right. Yeah. Sorry, people. We'll get back to the show. No, we just find out that Farron's mom is like a super perfectionist. And that's what, like, Faran has a lot of mom trauma.
Tons of mom trauma. And she tells her off because when she goes into the plastic surgeon, he's like, "It's going to be even worse. Like, I'm going to have to cut it out and we're going to have to do all this." Like, we don't get to see the meeting between her and the doctor. And personally, I don't think we needed to. But her reaction after her telling her, like, "You just want this to be even worse for me." And then she gets a message from A saying like about scars found deeper and how her mom did both her and Angela dirty. And A leaves her medical file because her mom has always said that her scoliosis surgery was necessary and it had to happen. And the doctor said it had to happen. And we learned that the doctors were basically like, she could outgrow this. It's not necessary. And her mom did it anyway. And that is horrific.
And it's terrible in general. Like spinal fusion, as someone who's had back injuries and issues, like spinal fusion is something that's like so permanent. And once you start messing with your spine, you're going to have to do it for the rest of your life. It's never like one surgery. It's going to be repetitive surgeries for the rest of your life, repetitive treatments. So the fact that her mom could damage her child like that, like for her own sake, and basically give her a life of being chronically in pain, chronically ill. It's just super messed up. Like, Corey, sit down.
Right. Corey's a mess, but it goes to all these different storylines that the show is tackling so responsibly, all different kinds of trauma. And I really think that, like, a lot of times when we talk about women who have mom trauma, because so many of us do, it's done in like this over the top, like mommy dearest kind of way where you're like, well, that's yes, that happens, but it's not necessarily relatable or believable. And this is just a very much like it happens a lot with dance moms, sports moms, where like they're just pushing their kid to be this person that they want them to be and never stopping to ask their kid, like, hey, is this what you want?
Yeah. Stage moms, it's a whole thing. And it's really tragic. And I agree with you, Jordan, that they're handling so much of this very, very, very responsibly and very smart. And while giving us answers and making an interesting show to watch. Let's dive into Noah real quick. So she doesn't have a ton that happens. She turns down her spot on the track team, even though, you know, she deserves it because she's deciding to continue to sacrifice herself for her mother, which is not what she should be doing at all. And her boyfriend tries to talk to her and she just doesn't want to hear it. And then she convinces her mom to go to rehab.
I was like, yeah, I wrote down Noah is living her worst life.
Noah is living her worst life.
100%.
Like, talk about living for other people and not yourself. We're all victims of it sometimes. But I feel for Noah. Her struggle it's not something that is often portrayed for other people, but there are a lot of people in this world who have parents that they have to parent. And Noah is struggling.
And like talking about parents who are parents who need to be parented, Noah's mom is so incredibly immature. Like it's not just that she's in the throes of addiction, which I can empathize with, but she's just an immature woman. Like, grow the fuck up, lady.
Yeah. 100%. She's so passive aggressive. Like Noah gets hurt. She's like, I was able to get your job back. So you just have to go to rehab for 30 days. Like, do it. Great. You could get your job back. But because Sean, Noah's boyfriend, shows up and like tells off her mom, which not necessarily his place, but also not mad at him because he loves his girlfriend and is looking out for her. You know, like she's upset that she was scolded and that Noah told their secrets to him. And so she then becomes so passive aggressive. And she's like, well, I got a job at the pizza spot, which we all know is where they run the drugs, right? The pizza spot is the drug spot. There's no way.
It's either pizza or ice cream trucks, period. Ice cream trucks or pizza. That's where the drugs are.
Or socks.
Yeah. Or socks. No one's buying those high socks at the sock store. And so like it's just like really upsetting. And I like this entire show is mommy trauma and they're handling it. And like I'm slowly putting that together as we watch. I'm like, this is for the girls with mom trauma. Everyone wants to say daddy issues. They don't even think.
Nobody talks about the mama trauma.
About mama trauma. And they're handling it really, really well. Kelly got her own little pod this episode, which I appreciated. I was like,
let's talk about Kelly.
You know, she's like talking to Greg and we see him being a douchebag and he's just like, but I always wanted to be with you, Kelly. And then tries to like assault her on the stage at school. It was very uncomfortable. And sitting there watching it happen, and she gets her own text from A that's like Kelly or Karen, and then A chases her in this like Swan Lake King outfit with a knife to scare it out of
she's
her.
Like she's running in her tutu, and it's very uncomfortable.
Yeah, and she's like, I'm Kelly. And so like, is that the end of it? Is that the end? Do we believe she's Kelly? Is that he's just trying to scare the right answer out of her?
I mean, I like the whole Acation moving over to Kelly drama, especially because, you know, we are just as confused too. we're like, who are you? Who actually are you? It's nice to cross her off the list. Like, if anything,
Right.
it just feels good to me. I got to cross people off a list this episode.
And I do think whether or not she's Kelly or Karen, I do think this goes back to what we were saying in episodes 1 through 3, that the twins have to be connected to all of this in some way. There's no reason that A would care so much if the twins were not also connected. So I am very interested to see how all of this ends up wrapping up together.
Yeah, agreed. And we shall see. And Kelly quit Swan Lake, and that's how Faran gets her spot back in Swan Lake. This girl has been the main swan in the ensemble, back to the swan, back to so now she's here and she's there, and she's back and she's ready, and she's gonna get her what is the comeuppance, her pennies, her whatever, I don't know what I'm trying to say,
her flowers,
her justice, flowers. It's a good version, not the bad one.
You're right. So the episode, like, everyone comes back together to watch Faran perform in Swan Lake. And I absolutely love, which Jordan, you were getting into earlier, and I stopped you here, her getting back at her mom. Take it away.
So Faran has this lovely moment where she gets justice for herself. And in her cast picture, in her cast bio, instead of it being a nice little headshot, it is a photo of the scar from her spinal fusion surgery, which goes all the way down her back. And her bio says, like, I had scoliosis. I didn't need to have spinal fusion surgery. My mother pushed me into it. And I've risen above all of this drama. And I'm now dancing the lead in Swan Lake.
Boom.
And like, what a moment. What strength.
Right? I loved that. And her mom is like, just like lose it, getting in the car. Like, do not drive stressed, people. Don't
do it.
Stress.
Don't do it.
Don't drive crying. Don't drive stressed out like that. That's how you get in accidents. And her mother gets, like, her dad at the end of the episode runs and he's like, your mother's been in a car accident. And I'm like, okay.
After all of this, and like all the girls are there to support Faran chokes herself with a hitch. Like, that part's really awesome. We love the power of friendship. And then Farron's mom just has to ruin even more stuff.
I know. Faran even kisses the dance boy, and so now they're a thing. And then I'm over here like, is he A's baby? Like, I'm just like throwing out. Is he the baby?
This is throwing me back to I Know What You Did Last Summer so badly, because I feel like we got lulled into a false insecurity. And by episode 6, we were like, everyone is the killer.
Everyone's involved.
Yeah.
I know. Noah
got us at the end on that show, though.
They did. Really we did not see that coming, and
that's what I feel like is going to happen. I don't know. I've been played before, and I feel like it's going to happen again with this show.
I know.
Somebody that we don't expect.
Noah finally does something for herself and joins the track team because her mom is now working at the drug hut. That's how I like to.
I mean, but we know what we think the pizza place is. We know what that means.
Yeah.
She has no idea.
No.
So I'm glad that Noah's doing something for herself, but
finally.
I still wonder how this is going to come around to bite her in the ass. And, she can't just go live with Tabby because Tabby's already got Imogen. So,
and we see Noah's mom buying drugs outside of I'm assuming it's the pizza place,
Like, is she buying them or is she selling them?
No, she bought them.
No, she bought them from a shady man.
Yeah, she bought them from that guy. He was like, sorry, I'm late. And she's like, it's fine. And she buys the drugs. And like, Noah's going to go be on the track team. Farron's mom is in an accident. The girls haven't told anyone their findings from the asylum hotel. There's a lot happening.
Yeah.
And a lot leading into the next episode, which we will talk about in a minute. But ladies, anything else you want to say about episode 6?
This show was really exceeding all of my expectations, and that's all I have to say. I really didn't know, and I didn't have a lot of expectations, but I think they were low because I didn't have expectations, and this show is exceeding them. It is handling a lot of very serious stuff really well. It's keeping the mystery moving. The plot is advancing every episode. Like, I'm really here for this.
Yeah, I mean, I not only what you said, Jordan, but I'm really impressed with how we are getting a whole new situation and they are working really hard to keep it different and pocket all of these different traumas, um, and almost distract us away from the issue at hand, which is who the hell is A? And they even tie back to like um the original Pretty Little Liars. Every once in a while in every episode, there's always a little drop in the bucket, a little tidbit of inspiration. And I like this continuous building of the world. And I hope more people are along for the ride with this.
Me too. I don't always love piecemealing info, but I think this show is doing a really good job of giving you just enough to keep you interested, but not too much that they overwhelm you. The first episode was a lot, like, because we're learning who they all are. There were so many characters, but now that we've really settled in, it's like it's all coming together, and I'm really loving this mystery story and trying to figure it out. So that's it for episode 6, ladies. So everyone, if you enjoyed this, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and then head on over to episode 7, and we'll see you there.